You know you're not supposed to do somatic healing work by yourself, right? Especially if you're a beginner with no experience in working with somatics, meaning your physical body in terms of healing, whether it's trauma or the past or emotions, or you're trying to work through a behavior or a habit that you have. If you've never done somatic work and you start to trigger your body with all these intense somatic movements and you're doing the hyperventilating, you're moving like this, it's gonna bring up the emotions, it's gonna bring up the feelings, it's gonna bring up the trauma, and it's gonna amplify and magnify to the point where it triggers your nervous system to the point where you don't know what to do with what just came up. It's going to be a lot of information for you to just deal with yourself. And what happens is that we don't actually give credit to the amount of information our physical body holds. And when we do somatic work, soma meaning from the body, we're connecting our breath to our body, we're connecting our movements to our body, we're tapping, we're accessing meridians that are here, we're moving through energy centers. There is a lot of energy that is being moved. There's a lot of feelings, emotions, past traumas, a lot of different things that start to get amplified, and it can actually re-trigger your nervous system to going into a survival mode. Now, if you're somebody who already lives in a survival mode, meaning that you're already up here, your body feels constricted, your shoulder feels like it's holding a weight, your chest feels like there's this clenching here, your stomach feels like it's in knots, you have a mind that is going and racing, it's 1,000 miles per hour. If you're already somebody who lives in survival mode, doing something like somatic work by yourself without the safety of a container, without the safety of a practitioner or a facilitator that can help you, one, integrate the work, and two, help you interpret what's coming up, it can actually put you into this hyper survival state. So enter more paranoia, enter more overthinking, enter more panic, enter feeling overwhelmed with what just happened, enter feeling sad, enter feeling like you don't know what to do with the information that just came up. And in somatic healing work, where you're working with breathwork, you're working with energy centers, you're working with EFT, you're working with tapping, you're doing all this energy work, there is a part of you that needs to have an energetic safe container, which can be provided to you by practitioners who are trained to hold the things that are coming up for you. If you're doing somatic healing, you have to understand that there's levels to somatic healing tools and layers of safety within each of these layers. Now, if you're an absolute beginner, you have no, experience doing anything like a somatic practice, you don't have a practitioner, you don't have a facilitator, you're starting on day 0, I recommend you start somewhere with breathwork. And in this book, Breathe by Shanila, me, you see 33 breathwork techniques that are good for your mood, energy, inner healing, grounding, and for sleep. So these techniques are not techniques that are going to trigger your nervous system like we talked about. These are things that are going to help you regulate your breath, regulate your emotions, regulate your nervous system. And they're essentially gentle practices that can be done by anyone. And the beauty of this is that it actually tells you the amount of time that you can practice this before it may begin to, initiate and activate your body in a different way. So starting with breathwork is a really great place to start. Then second level of somatic work is okay, let's see what it means for us to add in a little bit of movement. Am I going to try to see if I want to move my hips? I want to circle my rib cage. I want to see what my pelvis wants to do. So even though that feels is that somatic work? Absolutely, because as we said, somatic meaning soma. Soma means working from the body. When you're adding your breath to your body, you're initiating and activating a little bit more of that emotional release from the cellular level. So in this second layer, you may want a practitioner or want a facilitator who is present for you. You can maybe get away with not having somebody there. There are certain ways that you can get away with that, but it is likely that something's going to trigger in your body. And especially if you have no experience in doing any kind of inner healing or big release type of healing, it's nice that somebody can be there to help you interpret and integrate and co-create that safety with you. Okay, so that's that second layer. It's let's add that little movement, but let's not go too crazy because we still need to consider the safety of what it means in third level. Third level is absolutely no exceptions. You need a practitioner. You need a facilitator. You need somebody to hold space for you. So, okay, not to like scare you here, but when you're really getting into deep level, flow state level somatic releases, your body's gonna shake. You're gonna be crying. You're revisiting the past. You're getting visuals. You're seeing colors. You're hearing voices. There's shaking. There's a lot happening there. And if you've never done this before, it can be really disorienting. It can feel very triggering, and it can re-trigger your nervous system to the point where you're inducing paranoia. You're inducing emotions that you are actually trying not to have. You're inducing a lot of different things and re-triggering your nervous system there. So the value of knowing these 3 layers is that it gives you a perspective of what is safe for me and what is just knowledge for me, because there is difference, right? Like right here, maybe you've never done level 3, but you just know that there is something there that I've never done. So there is a thing that I haven't experienced, but I'm going to leave that to like a private experience. So oftentimes you might actually hear people share level 2 and level 3 techniques that are not meant for beginners. And so if you're a beginner, you're like, oh, I saw this TikTok video, or I saw this like YouTube, or I heard it on, I heard it from somebody I trust. And then you go to do it by yourself, and you're like, it just seems so innocent without you fully understanding the repercussions of what can happen when your body goes through that experience. It can be really incredibly disorienting. Okay. So this is like, okay, I'm not trying to scare you off of somatic healing, but I do want to give you the agency of being able to decide what level of practice is going to be good for you. So as I mentioned, Breathe has amazing techniques for absolute beginners. If you have no experience, you can go here. If you're in the second tier, you could try something like my 21 days of flow. It's somatic healing practices through movement and elemental study. So yeah, we are adding a little bit of movement, but we're not going crazy, because this is a self-paced program that you can take for 21 days. So I'm not going to be there with you throughout that time. So there is something that you're going to feel, but you're going to be able to manage by yourself. And then level 3 is like, if you want to go ham, like let's go, So we have people who are like having orgasms, they're shaking, they're gyrating, they're making sounds, they're screaming. There's like such a primal experience that like you could do that in your living room, or you could do that with a practitioner that is trained to hold space for that. I hope this helped you out, and let me know in the comments what kind of somatic practices are your favorite. And of course, if you're wanting to train as a breathwork practitioner, you can come to Flow Breathwork Facilitator Training at www.flowbreathworktraining.com. We have amazing resources and tools, and we are creating these practitioners who are holding space for this level 3 kind of transformations to happen. So if you want to know what's up, come through. And just remember, the world is your playground, and until next time, I will catch you soon.